we want to do is a few things. We're going to change this to a drop-down menu using CSS, and we're going to style it using again. We're going to style it using CSS. Also, the one thing that you will also be doing is inserting a flash type of object. So a Swift file. I'm going to show you how to insert a video from YouTube. And I didn't show you guys this last time, but I'm going to show it to you real quickly. Inserting a table and then working with a table, basically. So I'll show you how to do that also. And that's part of your assignment. So part of your assignment is to include a table where maybe you have images and some text, images and some text type of setup. And I'll talk about that when I'm doing this review. All right, so let's start off with something easy. Just going to insert in here a Swift file. So very easily, I'm just going to go to Insert, HTML, and then scroll down to Flash SWF. And basically, you're going to browse for it. And I already have a Swift file in the Assets folder. And if you don't, you can just find it, and then it'll ask you to make a copy it somewhere in there. So I decided to create an Assets folder. That's where I put videos, Swift files, anything else like that. So as you can see, I give it a title. It's very easy in that sense. So that's all basically I did. And then I'm going to resize it in here. Okay, so I've inserted my Swift file. So the next thing I want to do is insert a video. And I'm going to do a Flash video. So if you do a video, you want to make it part of your website, what I would suggest is make the video, upload it to YouTube, and then use the code from YouTube to plug it into your website. To do that, you very simply go to YouTube. And obviously you want to use something a video that pertains more to your subject matter for your website. So obviously I'm going to do something here for kiteboarding. Okay, so anyway, you're going to go, hopefully on your browser it's working. I'll fix this later, but the point is that you're going to go to where it says share. You're going to click on share, and you want to select embed. So the embed has the iframe code, so you're going to select that code there. Copy the code. Then we're going to go into the split view. Okay. In the split view, that's where you're going to put it, paste it in the code view. So here, at least you want to make sure where your browser is going to be. So, or your cursor, and then you're going to insert it at that point. So in the code view, that's where I'm going to paste it. All right, so Andrew, can you turn that off, please? Thank you. So you're going to insert the iframe on there, the code for the iframe, which is the code from YouTube. And then at that point, you should be able to see it. If you go to the live view, here's a preview of the video. And it should pretty much work in your live view. Okay? As you can see, it works. The only thing that was not working in live view is to do it full screen. All right, but anyway, you get the idea that how it's working. And you'll notice that when you do that, it also inserts these other linked files, which now are made part of your folder. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and save that. All right, so I've inserted, there's my Flash file. In live view again, we can see that it's interactive. And then we have the video. Now, I'm going to show you how to insert. Let me turn this off real quickly. So I'm going to show you how to insert a table. So basically, the reason you would use a table is more when you're trying to organize, for instance, some people may want to do this, like on your header, you may want a logo and a banner, and you want them right next to each other. Well, a table would be able to would be a way to be able to do that, where you would have a 1 row, 2 columns table, and then you would put an image on one side and a banner on the other side within the header tags, right? And or maybe you have a price listing of things, so you have an image of the items and then text about that item and so on. So maybe you're trying to set up something like that, where you don't necessarily want to create more. You could, by the way, create more div tags, div containers, but sometimes you can quickly do this with a table. Now, you don't want to use a table all the time. As a matter of fact, it used to be that when back I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, they actually used tables to create the layout of a website. It was the table that was used instead of div tags and CSS. Okay.
Is that what I was doing?
Anyway, so it's an old way of doing in terms of doing the layout, but it's useful in terms of maybe organizing a couple items in your header or your main body section or something like that. So again, to insert a table is very easy. Again, you're going to go to Insert Table. Now, at this point, you may not know how many rows you want or how many columns. It doesn't matter, because we can insert more rows, we can delete the rows, we can add more columns, or delete the columns if we wanted to. So in this case, I'm going to start off on the table with, I'll do 2 rows just for now, and 2 columns. And I'll leave it at 200 pixels, and I don't want the borders to be seen, so I'm going to leave the 0 for border thickness. And then I'm going to click OK. And so you can see the table down at the bottom right here. And as you'll notice, I can click and drag, maybe, click and drag to expand it. Okay. But so what I'll do here, I'll insert an image and some text. So I'm going to place an image in one of the cells right there. These are called cells. So I'm going to insert an image. I'll use the existing images that we have already. So let's see which one I want. That one. I'll start with that one. So there's my image. Now remember, I can resize the image. Hold down the Shift key, click and drag it. And then when I click and drag to resize it, notice my cells kind of expand. But I can always click and drag to customize it in terms of the cell size. Okay. Then I'll grab some text from right here real quickly, copy some of this text. And notice the cursor is blinking in the middle of the table. So if I want the text to start at the middle of the cell, if I want the text to start on the top of the cell, in my properties panel, I'm going to go down to where it says vert for vertical and select top. And notice my cursor now is blinking on the top. Now when I paste it, it'll paste from the top down instead of from the middle down, or from the middle. And again, so just going to copy this, paste it right here, and then copy the same thing, and then change this from top to top. And also, by the way, on the horizontal, I could center it if I want something to be centered within that cell. But I'm just going to leave this right here. So as you can see, we can organize something like this. So you have image and text right next to each other. This could be, an item of some sort, and this could be the price point type of thing, description of the item, or whatever. So as you can see, you can use the cells or tables in many different ways. So more so to organize, data type stuff. Okay. All right. So we got the table, we got the Swift object on there, we got the movie or video. So now what I want to do is change my my menu. So it's a drop-down menu, and basically we'll modify from the code. So we're going to borrow some code from a website called CodeTricks, and as I said before, that's in your assignment. The link for that is on your assignment. So I'm going to go to Firefox, go to CodeTricks. So the first thing I want to do is copy and paste the HTML code. So I'm going to select the HTML code, and it's basically a generic type code that's been set up. Obviously, you'll need to change some things on there, as you'll see. So we'll switch over back to Dreamweaver, and you don't want to obviously paste it in your design view. You want to paste it, the HTML code, you want to paste it in the code view. So I'm going to select this right here, and notice I'm putting it between my nav. I'm putting it in between my nav tags. So I'm pasting it. And now this is what it looks like in terms of, as you can see, it's an unordered list. And so this is going to be the first menu item. So this would be like about or something like that. And I could change it right here, or I can change it right here before we put the CSS on it. So this would be like home, and then about, and so on. But you'll notice right here, before I go on, you'll notice that again, this is going to eventually be your links, right? And these sub menus are going to be your drop-down links. Notice that they're indented. And if you look at it right here in the code view, we're seeing that in order to create this right here, this list it's an unordered list, right? And each of these tags right here represent that, what would be, your home link or about link or something, or your buttons, right? So, and then under that, if you'll notice under menu 2, which is this item right here, that we have another unordered list. So it's embedded within that list. An unordered list that's embedded within a list creates the submenus. So let me now add the CSS code so that we can style it. So I'm going to scroll down. So I'm going to select the CSS code, Command C, jump back over here. But this time I'm going to put the code within my CSS file. Now I could, if I wanted to, create another CSS file and link it, and it would be like a menu CSS.css or whatever, menu.css. But I'll just go ahead and we can just put it within the existing file already. So I'm going to go to my existing CSS file and just hit return a couple of times and then select and paste. So I pasted the CSS code on there. Now, when I click back in the design view, this is what we see, right? It's been styled, but still from top to bottom. But when I go to live view, you'll notice that now it's horizontal. So now what we want to do is make some changes on here. So I'm going to click on my CSS in my designer view. See what you guys are doing over here.
So what's the CSS part that you copied and used for?
I pasted it right on here into my CSS file.
Is it above or below the?
I put it below.
Like it is on the web page?
Yeah, well, no, on the web page is just in a different section. Here, I'm actually putting it. It's not in my HTML code. It's in my CSS file code. So I'm pasting it in there below the already existing CSS CSS rules that I created, which is the wrapper, my footer, H1, and so on, and my image. So right below that is those rules. Now, one of the first rules, though, one of the first things I want to do is add a rule that will help control this menu item and so on. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my cursor within in terms of right here. Notice there's a when I select this section, it's now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new rule based on my selection. So I'm going to click on the plus. And notice it says wrapper menu. What I want to do is just create a single rule. So pound or hashtag menu is the ID. You'll notice that's the ID that for this particular drop-down menu. And what I want to do here is under properties, I want to create a width about the size of the image. I'm going to use pixels. So about 990, which is about the size of the image right here. I'm going to change the background color. So I'm going to go here and change the background color to maybe a deep blue there. Maybe make it a little darker blue. So notice it affects the background of that nav bar. Okay. I'm going to also tell it to float left, just in case, to so make sure it stays organized. All right, so that's one of the things I want to change on there that you probably should do that, in terms of create a rule that only affects the menu, that in terms of the unordered list, where you can change the background color on there and so on. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to go to the unordered list hashtag list rule and define that as you can see right here. It says make parent of submenu relative. That basically will help define your buttons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to, let's say, 150. And then maybe change the height to about 40. Oops. And maybe notice it gets pushed up. Maybe I'll change the padding a little bit there to maybe 12 or something like that. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is another rule that I want to create, and I'll put this right above, so start below menu, is a hover. So when I when I put my cursor over it, it'll change it to a different color. So a hover type menu, a rule. So I'm going to click the plus here, and it's going to be UL pound menu, and then list, and then I'm going to type in colon. That brings up parameters for hover. I hit return there, and I'm just going to change the background color on that. I'll just do red for now. So the idea is when I hover over it, it should turn red. Notice they do. Okay, but notice the link does not. So let's look at that real quick. I think it has to do with this rule right here that you notice has an A, which stands for the link tag. And you'll notice it has a gray background on there. Let me see here real quick. I'm going to disable it by clicking on that, not the trash can. I could delete it by clicking on the trash can, or disable it, which basically makes it into a comment. Let's see if that works. Notice that worked in terms of the rollover of it. So I can leave it disabled, and you'll notice in the rule itself what it does. I don't think I showed you guys this last time, but in the rule itself, right here on line 66, you notice that it has the /* and it says disabled. So Dreamweaver added that. We could have just, when we want to disable something, we can just add, make it into a comment by adding a / and then closing it out with a */. You'll notice that throughout here there are comments on there that don't really affect the code. That's just more for informational purposes, or maybe disabling something. Okay. So the other thing now, let's see here. What else do we want to do? Let's maybe what we'll do here. Let's look. Background color, we change that. Let's see, under submenu maybe.
I'm not getting anywhere near what you're doing.
That's okay. This is what I'm recording this, so then you'll have a chance to review it. Okay. And I'll be able to come over and help you out. Let's see what else here. Let me see if I change the margins here to auto. I didn't do anything. The other thing I want to do here, let's see here, there's some menu. Yeah, I want to change this. Notice right here when I roll over it, it kind of like the submenu kind of stuck on the top there. or it's overlapping with the menu there. So I'm going to change the positioning, lower that a little, or increase that the top positioning. Yeah, that's a little better. And I think, let's see, that's about it. Was there anything else I showed you guys?
The thing on the web page that you copied the two codes, I got the one.
Okay.
The other, I'm not sure how that would be utilized.
All right, yeah, I'll show you how to do that. Let's see what else. Is there something else missing? Is it width, height, left,
Look in the bottom.
menu? I think that's about it. Let me just go over these rules real quick. Make sure I covered everything in there. Yep, okay, I think that's about it in terms of doing a rollover. So remember, in order to get rid of your menus, sub-menus, all you have to do is go into the code view for HTML. And so I'm going to get rid of, for instance, for the menu 2, I'm going to look for menu 2. Here's my starting my sub-menu. I'm just going to select that. And I'm selecting beginning from the UL. So you'll notice here's a menu 2. And then the submenu starts off in UL and ends in UL. So remember, this is the closing tag for the list for menu 2. Select that, press delete. And there we have the beginning and closing tags for menu 2. Now when I move down to my cursor over here, it's gone. Okay. What else? So, okay. So I think that's it in terms of doing your menus. Are there any questions? Let me see. Yeah.
When we do the drop downs, do they need to link to something?
Yeah, they should link to. You can make it link to an external page. You know.
Oh, okay.
And you don't have to have all those drop down, just one or two or something like that. Let me see something real quick here. By the way, if you want to center your text, in terms of right here, I just realized that this wasn't centered. If you want to center it, what I did is I went to, and it's up to you how you have it. You may want to have it all over to the left or to the right. But I went into my nav rule, and then I went into the text align and center it there. So you could do left align, and then if you want to, and it'll, again, push it back to the left or the center. Either way, it's your call. And also, I noticed though that I think, should it be filled in or not? When I roll over, this probably should be blue. Let me see some. Also, do the background here. Yeah, I just noticed this. When I roll over, or before when I roll over my submenu, it wasn't filled in. It didn't have a filled in background. Now I filled it in, but notice that. So what I did is I went to the submenu rule, changed it over here. Now what I need to do is change the width from 100 to Notice it doesn't quite fill it in all the way in terms of the color. So I just have to match my button size, and there we go. Okay. So you'll notice again before it wasn't filled in, but now it's filled in. And I think that's it.